Okay, it says trend lines and predictions. When a scatter plot shows a linear, this only works for linear. When a scatter plot shows a linear association, you can use a line to model the relationship. And you can use a trend line to make predictions. So this is a scatter plot, yes? And this is a scatter plot with a trend line drawn through it. So notice that when you draw the trend line, it does not touch all the dots. It's simply in the middle of the trend. Does everybody understand? Okay, flip to the back and let's do some examples. We're only doing 2 examples, so you better pay attention. All right, Guadalupe is hiking to a lake. Each hour she records her distance from the lake. The scatter plot shows her distance. Based on the scatter plot, what is the best prediction of the time when she is 15 miles from the lake? All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to draw a trend line. So here's what I want y'all to do, but you got to listen to me. I want you to draw guidelines. So over here I'm going to show, okay, the dots are kind of going here, and I'm kind of hugging up to the dots showing the trend. You're going to draw a guideline on both sides of the trend. So everybody go draw your guidelines. It should be dotted. That's not your trend line. This is going to help you draw your trend line. Once you have your guidelines drawn, you're going to take your straight edge and you want to put it in the middle of your guidelines. And it is very important that it goes in the middle. What I like to do is put my pencil in the middle and then put my ruler up to it and then draw my trend line. I don't like it. I don't like how my trend line turned out. It's too close to this. So I'm going to erase it and I'm going to do it better. If you mess it up, your answer will be wrong. I want it to go in the middle of my guidelines. That looks a little bit better. Still kind of, no, it's still close. Needs to be right in the middle. That looks better. Do you see how my trend line is in the middle of these guides? Yes or no? Now I'm going to use it to make a prediction. So it wants me to find what? 15 miles. So everybody find the axis that says miles. What does this axis say? Hours. And time? What does this axis say? Miles. So I'm going to find 15 miles, which is right here. Does everybody see it? And I'm going to go over to my trend line and then go down from there. I am a little bit past 9. Do y'all see that? So I go from 15 to my trend line, and from my trend line down, I'm a little bit past 9. So which answer is the closest? C. If I draw my trend line wrong, it's not going to work. I will get it wrong. All right, go to the next one. Draw a trend line. Guys, if you don't do the guidelines, your trend line's going to be wrong. So my dotted lines guide on the right side of the trend and on the left side of the trend. I take my straight edge and I want it to be directly in the middle. I'm using my trend line to make a prediction on this scatter plot. Okay, what is it asking for this time?
What's the best prediction for the number of birds that will be hatched in
year 10. So which axis has years on it?
The bottom X.
The x-axis. Go find 10 on the x-axis and circle it. Draw a line up to your trend line and over. I am right at about 90. Yes or no? The biggest mistake students make on drawing trend lines. Number one, they get sloppy and they don't want to go draw guidelines. Number two, they don't go to the correct axis. Do y'all see if I would have gone to 10 on the y-axis, my answer would have been like 1. You have to look at what they're asking for year 10, not 10 birds. Does that make sense? So you have to go to the right spot. Draw a line to the trend line and then to the other axis. Okay, I'm going to pass out the assignment. We'll do a few together. Okay, so I'm doing number 1 on the assignment. I drew my guidelines. And then I'm going to put a trend line in the middle. And make sure your ruler's in the middle all the way across. Go draw your trend line. Now, what is it asking me to find? The temperature when it's what?
75.
75. Well, here's 70, here's 80, so 75 is right here. And you can see my trend line is a little off because I don't even have an answer that's under 2. But what's my answer closest to? 2.1. If you feel like, man, I just don't know, there's 2 answers that are close, you need to redraw your trend line. So always use a pencil so that you can erase. When you finish, you're going to get your answers checked with me. Then you'll put them in Google. Yep, that's all we're doing.